Hi, I'm John, and we're going to talk about the Gerb today. This is how you'll receive the Gerb. It comes in a road case. You'll notice that it has wheels on the bottom and latches around the side. We're going to go ahead and get into that and take it apart and put it together and get it ready to fire. All right, I'm back. This is the Gerb, and it's the way it arrives to you in a road case. All we have to do is unlatch the latches and lift the top right off. We'll just set it aside. You can't see it right now, but I'll show it to you a little bit later. It does come with a piece of cardboard that's packed in that covers a notch up, a hole in the case. And I'll show you that a little bit later on. Just take it out and put it aside. Save it because you will use it when you return it. The only tools that you need to put this thing together is a wrench, simple crescent wrench, and of course you'll have to supply your own CO2, which you'll get from your local gas company. Everything else comes with the Gerb that you need to fire it. So we're going to go ahead and put it together now. First thing we'll do is we'll remove the pins. That's the first thing we'll do is remove the pins. Just pull the cotter pin out that actually secures it and pull the pin right on out. You have two of them, one on the top, one on the bottom. Pull them out. You can set them aside for a moment. Then there's the two horns. Yeah, these are actually the two hoses to begin with. And then the double horn. The two horns are actually mounted on the same piece, and they're pretty easy to put in. If you'll notice on the side here, we'll do a close-up a little later, there are some holes, and these are the holes where the pins fit in. So what we're going to do is we're going to position the horns in those holes, put a pin through to secure it. I always do the bottom hole first. It's the easier one to do. You'll notice the horn has a rubber flap. This rubber flap goes to the back side of the Gerb. Sort of fits in like this. There's a rubber flap in the front down here. Probably can't see it right now, but we'll see it later. And that just fits up underneath the horns. Put the horn down. See if we can line a hole up somewhere. Slide the pin in. And now you've got the horns mounted, and you can choose the hole in the back that you want to use. If you go to the lowest hole, the horns will fire straight up. And then of course it comes down a little bit further, and all the way over. You pick the how you want it to fire. We'll just go ahead and make it, how about right there. Put your pin in. And then go ahead and put your cotter pin back in for safety. It just goes through the hole. You'll see it on the rod, and push it down. Basically, the piece of equipment is now really sort of set up. We're going to go ahead and attach the CO2, and we'll go ahead and put some product in the hopper to fire it. Okay, so now we have the horns on, and we've secured the horns with the rods. And now we'll go ahead and put the hoses on. Comes with two hoses, and I'm going to turn it this way so you can see it, or we'll show you a little bit later. At the base of each horn there's a fitting, and that fitting is where the hose attaches. Just put it down there, tighten it on with your fingers, take the second hose and attach it to the back horn. Each horn gets its own hose. We'll use that crescent wrench, and we'll tighten that connection down. Doesn't have to be super tight, just pretty snug, just to prevent any kind of leaking air. Okay. Now the two CO2 tanks that you've gotten from your local supplier, you can either put those in the case itself if you'd like, if you want to roll the case around. We'll do that in this case. And Then we'll attach the other end of the hose to the CO2 tanks. This is probably the most important piece, and I'm going to show you this a little bit later on up close. It's a small little washer that comes with the Gerb. These will actually be tie wrapped onto the rods. You'll see them when you open the case up. When you attach the valve to the CO2 tank, make sure that you put the washer inside the valve, inside the connection. And then you would come down and screw that onto the tank. Once again, that crescent wrench. And you'd want to go ahead and tighten this down pretty snugly. That washer will prevent leaks. This is the off position. This is the on position. You make sure it's off, and you can actually open the main valve on your CO2 tank. But we're going to hook up the other tank first before we do anything else. Take your washer, place it inside, and then come down and attach this to the tank, just like you did on the other one. Turn your valve off, use your crescent wrench, and tighten this one down. Want to make them snug so there's no leaks. Now you can turn on both of your CO2 tanks, and if it needs to be tightened a little bit more, you're going to see a little, hear a little hissing or a little smoke, a little condensation coming out around here. If that happens, just take the crescent wrench and tighten it down a little bit more. All right, now we have our two tanks hooked up. We have our washers inside. We have our valves in the off position. We'll go ahead and open up the tanks on the main valve on top of it. As I said a few moments ago, you're looking for any kind of hissing or any type of condensation. Everything seems to be tight here, so we're ready to go. You could do a quick test on this if you want to at this point. There's no product in the Gerb. Just turn the valve on just a little bit. And you can see that it's actually hooked up and ready to go. We're firing confetti already. As I said a little bit earlier, the Gerb will fire just about anything. It won't fire streamers, but any type of cut confetti, whether it's our regular FlutterFETTI, this happens to be die-cut butterflies. We have Mylar, FlutterFETTI. This machine will fire all of this. It will fire a 1-pound bag, which is about, this is right here, 85 feet in 1 second. 1 pound, 1 second, 85 feet. Really a very impressive machine. There's one thing I want to point out to you before we put the product into the machine. Your horns, this is an interesting situation. The back horn is actually over the hopper. You put the confetti in the hopper and that horn sucks it up. The confetti is coming out of the back hopper only. The front hopper, and we'll show you this a little bit later in a close-up, hangs off the front. It doesn't go over hopper. And the whole idea behind the front horn is it's just moving massive amounts of air, not being slowed down by the product itself. The two horns will join each other about this high, and that confetti just takes off like warp speed on Star Trek. All right, well, you're pretty much ready to fire now. We have the equipment all set up. What I would suggest that you do, and whatever product you're firing, I would put a few handfuls into the hopper just to get it started. Once you turn the CO2 on, you can dump as much in there as you want, as quickly as you want. Another word of caution, when you have your valve in the off position and you go to fire it, turn your valve all the way on, full on position, not halfway. Don't do it slowly. You either want it all the way on, all the way off. If you go in the middle somewhere, it's a good chance the horns may freeze, because CO2 is actually quite cold when it comes out. If it does freeze, you're not going to be able to get it defrosted in time for your show. So all the way on, all the way off. You can go ahead and leave these run straight through for 40 seconds and just blast as much confetti as you want. Or you can go ahead and turn it on, turn it off, let that confetti start to spread out in the facility, start coming down. Either all on, 40 seconds, on or off, extend the firing time a little bit longer. That's pretty much the way it works. Now it's time to go ahead and take it down. The show is over. We will make sure we pack it up just the way it came to you. All the pieces are included back in the box. So we'll run through that quickly. You want to make sure that your CO2 is turned off. That would be the main valve on the tank. Make sure it's turned off and tight. then you go ahead and open up the quarter turn valve, the control valve, and that's just to release any air that might be in the hoses. We'll go ahead and just take it off. Once again, use that handy crescent wrench. And go ahead and just take each hose off of the tanks. If you can catch the washer, just drop it in the bottom. If not, it's okay. We don't have to have it back. Take the other one off. Same thing with the washer. Throw it in the bottom. Don't worry about it if you don't find it. Go ahead and remove the tanks from the case. You'll return these to your local gas company. And we'll go ahead and disconnect the hoses from the horns on this side. All right, then we'll go ahead and pull the cotter pins out of the rods. I slide the back rod out first. Leave that front rod in there so it pivots. And then go ahead and grab a hold of the horn, slide the front rod out, lift the horn up. The horn fits right back into the case next to the hopper. Go ahead and take the rods, put them back through, put the cotter pin in, and then we'll go ahead and just roll our hoses up. Sort of watch out there, hitting the face. And slide them right down next to the hopper and the horns. Don't put them on the outside of the horn because of the opening over here. We're going to put our piece of cardboard back in, but you just don't want anything near there. We'll slide this other one right down in there. They're sort of locked in. It's great. Take our piece of cardboard that we sent you. Slide it right down in there, sort of protects that opening, and then we'll just go ahead and fit the top back on. Latch the latches, and it's ready to go. As you know, in your original sales invoice, return shipping was included. So when you've got it packed up and ready to go, someone from our office will contact you, or you can call us, and we'll make arrangements for a pickup. There's really nothing you have to do. Put your label on, and we'll call for the pickup, and they'll come out and get it. So we try to make it as easy as we possibly can. Thanks for renting a Gerb. I hope your show is a big success. Bye.